Hello and welcome to this new lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what an engineering prompt is when it comes to ChatGPT and how it works. In simple terms, prompt engineering refers to the process of crafting the correct prompt for an AI chatbot in order to achieve the best possible result. Prompt engineering is a concept in the field of artificial intelligence, especially in natural language processing. In prompt engineering, the description of the task that the AI must perform is embedded in the input in the form of a question instead of being given explicitly. Prompt engineering typically works by transforming one or more tasks into a dataset based on prompts and training a language model using what has been called prompt-based learning or simply prompt learning. Thus, any interaction between a human and a large language models like ChatGPT, which uses prompts, strengthens the AI, making it progressively better. In short, prompt engineers spend days trying to figure out how AI works, using elaborate prompts that use complex verbs and vocabulary, pushing the limits of chatbots and other types of generative AI, identifying bugs or new problems. Perfect. Now, to understand in more detail, we will have to define what a prompt means. In short, a prompt is a phrase or series of individual keywords used as input to an AI program such as ChatGPT. In turn, AI strives to analyze and understand your request and generate an automatic response. Therefore, it is important to formulate prompts in a way that the AI can comprehend them. To get the answers you want, you will have to use the words in a certain way. Since ChatGPT uses a complex language, it is necessary that the inputs, or rather the questions, are addressed in a certain way to get the most from the AI. Therefore, a prompt with potential consists of 4 pillars: using clear and concise words, use of context, avoiding yes or no questions, and avoiding words that have a double meaning. Now let's take them one by one. We will start with using clear and concise words. The importance of clarity and brevity in formulating a prompt cannot be understated. When interacting with ChatGPT or any other AI system, it is crucial to ensure that the prompt is structured in a clear and simple way, thus avoiding ambiguity or misinterpretation. A clear and concise prompt has multiple advantages. First, it allows the model to understand precisely what is expected of it and generate relevant and useful responses. An ambiguous or unclear prompt can cause the model to give confusing answers or deviate from the main topic. For example, the formulating "what is the positive but also the negative impact of social networks in society? Give me 2 positive examples and 2 negative examples" can be considered a good prompt because it clearly defines in simple words both positive and negative impact when it comes to social media. An example of a wrong prompt can be "do you think social networks are good?" Such a prompt uses an open question so that the AI will only come with superficial answers in the first phase. Avoid technical language or jargon that can be confusing. Replace ambiguous terms with clear and unambiguous expressions. For example, instead of using a vague term like thing, specify clearly what the thing is. A concise prompt is also essential. ChatGPT has limits on the number of tokens it can process in a single request. Therefore, your prompt should be of a reasonable length to fit within this limit and avoid truncation or sending the prompt in multiple parts. To achieve clarity and brevity in your prompt, you can use simple sentence structures and avoid long or complicated phrases. You can also rephrase the prompt to be more direct and concise, removing incomplete or unnecessary information. The second pillar is composed of the use of context. When interacting with ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence systems, specifying the purpose and scope of the conversation is essential to achieve the desired results and ensure effective communication. Clearly defining goals and setting boundaries helps the model understand the context and provide appropriate and relevant responses. For example, if you want to find out an answer related to marketing, you can try the following prompt. You are a marketing specialist who develops SMAAs for companies with an annual revenue of $10 million. Write me a plan in 5 steps which contains all the details about a shampoo campaign. I will use the plan to grow another agency to a 10 million turnover. It's just an example. The purpose and objective of the conversation may vary depending on the context and individual needs. It is important to be clear about what you want to achieve from ChatGPT. It can be about getting information, solving a problem, exploring a topic, generating ideas, or anything else. It is crucial to specify the area or topic of the conversation. ChatGPT has an extensive knowledge base but cannot be considered an expert in all areas. Specifying the domain allows the model to focus on relevant information and provide more accurate answers. For example, if you want information about electric cars, specify this in the prompt to point the model in the right direction. The third pillar that you should take into account when writing a prompt is avoiding yes or no questions. When writing a prompt for ChatGPT, it is recommended to avoid yes or no questions. Why? Because such questions restrict and limit the answers you can get from the AI system. Yes or no questions tend to ask for short and undeveloped answers, which can lead to insufficient information or unsatisfactory results. For example, if you ask is the sun is bright today, you may only get a simple yes or no without much detail or explanation. Instead, it is recommended that you formulate open-ended questions that require more elaborate answers and give the model the opportunity to provide relevant and useful information. Open-ended questions encourage the model to provide additional explanations, opinions, examples, or details, allowing for deeper and more interactive communication. For example, instead of asking, "Have you read the last book by author X?" where the answer can be yes or no, you can ask, "What are your thoughts on the latest book by author X and why?" This allows the model to provide a more complex analysis and justify its answer. By avoiding yes or no questions, you open the way for a richer and more informative conversation with ChatGPT. This way, you can get more extensive answers, more detailed explanations, and even new suggestions or ideas that you might not have obtained with short answer questions. And the fourth pillar is avoiding words that have a double meaning. Choosing words carefully and avoiding ambiguity is essential to ensure clear and accurate information with the model. Words with double meanings can create confusion and lead to misinterpretations of the prompt. This may affect the quality of the responses received from the artificial intelligence system and may generate inaccurate or unwanted information. A classic example of a word with double meaning is bank. This word can be interpreted either as a place where you rest or as a financial institution. If the prompt contains such as an ambiguous word, the model may respond in a way that does not align with the user's original intent. To avoid such situations, it is recommended to use precise and unambiguous words in your prompt, replacing the words with double meaning with synonyms or more specific expressions that provide clarity on the intended meaning. In conclusion, a quality prompt contains both clear and simple words and also context, while avoiding sentences and words that can have a double meaning. You should know that despite these principles, ChatGPT may generate answers that may be incorrect or speculative. It is important to evaluate and filter the answers according to your own criteria and check them with external information. In this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on information, what they are and how they work. Information plays a vital role in our modern society. With so many resources available at our fingerprints, finding and selecting relevant information becomes an essential skill for anyone who wants to be well informed and make informed decisions. A valuable tool that can be used to facilitate this process is known as information-seeking prompts. Information-seeking prompts are typically questions or prompts that are designed to guide and structure the information-seeking process. They serve as prompts or clues that direct you to look for certain types of information or to address certain aspects of the topic of interest. In particular, information-seeking prompts answer the questions how, what, which, and how much. For example, a prompt that uses the question, "What is the most popular tourist attraction in Kenya?" write a paragraph. This type of prompt addresses specific information. As you can see, ChatGPT responds exactly to the topic without resorting to creativity. Such questions are perfect for obtaining simple information that is accurate and known by everyone. Another formulation can be the prompt, "How can I prepare for an interview?" In this case, as you can see, the task has already been divided into small steps because the word "how" by its nature requires instructions, and these instructions are much easier to follow when they are divided into simple steps. Using information-seeking prompts can bring you multiple benefits. By using information-seeking prompts, we can improve our information-seeking and selection skills. This can help you save time as they direct you straight to the relevant information, eliminating the need to browse through dozens or hundreds of search results pages. They also assist you in being more efficient and organized in the search process by providing a structure and well-defined framework for searching and evaluating information. It is important to understand that seeking prompts are not a magic solution that solves all problems when writing a prompt. However, if you are looking for conscious information that does not involve creativity, these short words added before your prompt can generate quick and handy results. In conclusion, seeking prompts are a valuable tool for navigating the massive amounts of data available today. So, in this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on instructions, what they are and how they work. Instruction-based prompts are pieces of text or requirements that you give the language model to guide its response in a certain way. These instructions can range from specific requests or questions to requirements to complete a text or generate a response in a certain style or tone. Basically, you use an instruction-based prompt, introducing some context, and thus asking the model to continue or respond according to the instructions provided. For example, you can say, "Continue the story, once upon a time in a faraway land," or answer the question, "What is the capital of France?" As you can see, ChatGPT has taken over the task and generated, depending on what input you gave it, the answer to your prompt. These types of prompts are usually used to continue a certain part of an older generated text, helping you get a more complex answer. An example of such a prompt would be, "Write me 10 marketing strategies to promote an online store." Once it starts writing, you'll notice that it provides only a few pieces of information without going into detail. A prompt that uses instructions can be developed. Once processed, ChatGPT will develop all the ideas already written previously so that you receive more information to help you. Regardless of the initial prompt, you can use these words or short sentences that offer instructions to receive as many details as possible. You can use, for example, expressions such as write me an article about, develop, continue the sentence or task above, write more creatively, rewrite, give me more details about ... and many other examples. In short, you can use prompts based on instructions in 3 situations. In text completion, a prompt can ask the model to complete a task in a certain way. For example, complete the following sentence: on a sunny morning, I went out into the garden and saw ... and the model will continue the text according to the given instructions. In response to questions, by providing a specific question in the prompt, the model can generate an appropriate response. For example, answer the following question: how many planets are there in the solar system? The model can generate an answer based on its knowledge or information presented in training. And through directing the style or tone, prompts can ask the model to generate a response in a certain style or tone. For example, answer the question, how are you feeling today, in an optimistic way. In this case, ChatGPT will try to generate a response in an optimistic tone. In conclusion, instruction-based prompts allow you to get more specific and direct responses from AI models, helping them direct the text generation in a certain direction. However, it is important to know that models like ChatGPT interpret and generate responses based on their training data and may also have limitations or errors in understanding context or providing accurate information. So that's it. In this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on context, what they are and how they work. Context providing prompts are suggestions or instructions given to artificial intelligence to give it a specific context in which to generate relevant and coherent content. These prompts can be in the form of sentences, phrases, or even whole paragraphs which describe in detail what is desired to be created. By providing clear and specific context, you help the AI understand the requirements and produce more accurate and relevant results in content generation. Thus, context providing prompts serve as guides for the AI. For example, if you want to plan a party, a suitable prompt would be: I want to plan a party for my boy. What decorations and activities should I choose to make his birthday memorable? These prompts are ideal for describing as best as possible the situation you are in, so that the AI can put itself in your place, generating an answer as close as possible to your situation. Another simple example can be the following prompt: I want to travel around the world in the next few years. What budget should I allocate to this adventure? As you can see, it generates a simple answer detailing the most important aspects: transport, food, accommodation, activities, etc. When you want to get quality information for a certain thing, context-based prompts might be the most appropriate. For maximum efficiency, it is important to know that you should put this context at the beginning of the prompt. In this way, you set the AI in a certain direction right from the start, knowing the exact context, limiting its responses to the given context. Using context-providing prompts brings a significant benefit in terms of efficiency in the creative process. They reduce the time and effort required to generate quality content. The prompt provides a solid start and a clear guide for AI, making it easy to generate content that addresses our needs and expectations. Thus, the creative process becomes more fluid and faster, allowing us to achieve results faster and with less work. Context-providing prompts open new horizons in the field of AI-assisted creativity. These suggestions provide the AI with a clear and specific framework in which to operate, leading to the generation of more relevant and coherent content. From content writing and fiction creation to design and translations, context-providing prompts become a valuable partner for a wide range of creative activities. So, in this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on comparison, what they are and how they work. Comparative prompts are instructions or requests that make comparison between two or more items, concepts, ideas, or situations. They can be used in a variety of contexts, including academic writing, debate, or decision-making. Their purpose being to evaluate and analyze the differences and similarities between the compared subjects and to develop critical thinking and analytical ability. These prompts are typically used to generate two or more comparisons, helping to make better, more informed decisions. A prompt example for this type of search can be: what are the advantages and disadvantages of electric cars compared to cars with a heat engine? Typically, such prompts are used in moments of uncertainty or when the advantages and disadvantages are very close. For example, you can formulate a further prompt asking it to develop the text by being more creative. You can write the above advantages and disadvantages in a more creative way. As you can see, ChatGPT structures the answer around the given prompt, trying to be as conscious as possible around the advantages and disadvantages. Even if in the first phase the answer might be slightly superficial, I encourage you to keep asking, developing the subject. These prompts are characteristic for the formulation: what are the advantages and disadvantages, or what are the weaknesses and strengths, or what are the differences between, thus permanently contrasting the analyzed objects or ideas. An important thing to remember is that any prompt written using the comparison must necessarily end with the two objects or things compared. For example, in the prompt above, after determining what exactly we want to compare, we defined the exact objects, in our case electric cars and classic cars, the ones that use a thermal engine. This is very important because without a similar formulation where you name the two things you want to compare, ChatGPT will not be able to give you a satisfactory answer, not knowing what to compare. In conclusion, when you use prompts based on comparison, add to the beginning of the phrase what you want to compare, advantages and disadvantages for example, and finish the prompt by clearly defining the objects or services you want to compare. These prompts encourage critical thinking, in-depth analysis and evaluation of the topics compared, helping to develop a more comprehensive perspective and deeper understanding of the respective subjects. So, in this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on opinions, what they are and how they work. Opinion-seeking prompts, also called opinion prompts, are statements or questions formulated in a way that invites the AI, in our case, to express its opinion or provide a subjective assessment on a certain subject. These are often used in research, surveys, discussions, or even in everyday conversations to get varied opinions and perspectives. Opinion-seeking prompts can vary in their nature and can be adapted according to the context or purpose for which they are used. They can be simple and direct, requesting the person's opinion explicitly. An example would be, what do you think about the color blue? Or they can be more general and open, giving the person the opportunity to freely express their thoughts and feelings. For example, what do you think would be the best solution to this problem? These prompts are not used much due to their nature. Asking an AI for its opinion on a particular thing can be interesting when you are not looking for a specific type of answer. For example, if you ask ChatGPT what is your opinion about batteries, it will tell you in the first phase that it doesn't have an opinion or any opinions at all. But, as you can observe, it can generate a generic text that gives you some general or basic information. With the latest update, ChatGPT tries to give its opinion on certain topics in order not to leave the question unanswered. In the composition of these prompts that are based on opinions, you will always find at the beginning of the prompt the wording "what do you think" or "what is your opinion" or "how would you describe it", etc. These formulations being specific to opinion-type prompts. These types of prompts are not the most effective because the AI cannot yet formulate opinions on its own. Generally, these prompts can be used to gather feedback, understand people's preferences or attitudes, evaluate products or services, explore ideas, or initiate discussions. Some examples of opinion-based prompts are: what do you think about this idea? What do you think about the new movie that was just released? How would you describe your experience with our product? What do you think would be the best solution to this problem, etc. In conclusion, when using artificial intelligence, you should stay away from questions that boil down to its personal opinions because it cannot yet generate opinions or subjective views. So, in this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on reflection, what they are and how they work. Reflective prompts are stimuli or questions designed to provoke deep reflection and encourage people to analyze and express their personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences. These are often used in learning, personal development, and therapy processes to stimulate self-reflection and self-understanding. Reflective prompts can vary depending on the context and purpose for which they are used. They can be used in various fields such as education, coaching, psychology, creative writing, and professional development. For example, you can use the prompt, "What are the most important lessons you have learned in the last year?" As you can see, ChatGPT ignores the answer because it cannot understand its existence. This feature is strictly human for now, which makes the AI useless from this point of view. As in the case of the last lesson where we discussed about opinions, ChatGPT does not have the ability to understand a problem in depth. ChatGPT uses computing power and access to information to provide a rather complex answer, completely ignoring aspects such as existence, philosophy of life, and even ethical principles. Therefore, it is important to know that questions related to an inner reflection are not exactly suitable for artificial intelligence yet. To recognize this type of prompt, you will have to look every time at the beginning of the sentence, in our example, "What are the most important lessons?" because it uses a structure that combines information type questions, which, how, what, which by their nature tend towards an internal analysis. Reflective prompts can vary depending on the context and purpose for which they are used. They can be used in various fields such as education, coaching, psychology, creative writing, and professional development. Some examples of prompts are: how did you feel during that event and why? What are the most important lessons you have learned in the past year? What are your personal values and how you have applied them in your everyday life? What changes did you notice in yourself as a result of that experience, etc. In conclusion, this type of prompt is not an ideal one when interacting with artificial intelligence because it cannot really understand what self-reflection means. Reflective prompts are designed to stimulate self-reflection and self-observation, facilitating personal development and deeper self-understanding. They can help people explore and analyze their own thoughts, emotions, and experiences, thus contributing to personal and professional growth. So that in this lesson, we will discuss the prompts based on role, what they are and how they work. Role-based prompts are prompts that are based on a specific role or fictional character during interactions with artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT. These prompts specify the role that the model needs to assume in its responses, guiding it to provide information or opinions in accordance with that role. For example, if you give a role to a prompt like you are a 10th grade history teacher, tell me about the Battle of Waterloo, ChatGPT will answer you in a way that suits the role of a history teacher. It will give you details about the battle and its importance in history. Essentially, role-based prompts allow simulating a dialogue or conversation with different characters or specialists in various fields. The simple fact that ChatGPT can provide you with much more detailed information is due to the first words in the prompt. You are a 10th grade history teacher. Once these things are specified, the artificial intelligence will position itself in such a way that the answer sounds like that of a 10th grade history teacher. In the case of prompts that use roles, the words that define a role will always be at the beginning of the sentence. Regardless of the information you need, when you discuss the role, it will have to be provided as the first information to establish a starting frame for ChatGPT from the first seconds. An interesting thing that works perfectly with this category is the wording of the prompt according to the rule of 5, namely who, what, when, where, and why. Who refers to the role that ChatGPT will have to play, for example, programmer, doctor, cook, and all the jobs from which you want to extract information. What refers to the action or task that the artificial intelligence will need to perform, such as creating personalized study plans to help children learn programming, for example. When? This has to do with the time you set to finish the task you offer. You can ask for your plan to be implemented in 3 weeks or 2 hours. It's all up to you. Where? Here, you have to take into account the context or location of the prompt you give. Not all prompts will include a location. In our case, the location would have been a school if the program had applied to students. Why? And finally, you will have to add the purpose. You can add the objectives or reasons. These are usually added at the end. For example, your ultimate goal will be to help each student develop the skills and knowledge they need to achieve their programming goals. Finally, remember that the more details you provide in your prompt, the more precise and satisfactory the answer will be. This approach can be useful for getting more contextual and relevant responses, as the model can be guided to respond in a certain way given a specific role or context. Some examples of prompts that use roles are: you are a doctor, advise me on how to prevent colds and flu in the cold season. You are a famous chef, share with me your secret recipe for the best lasagna. You are a successful entrepreneur, give me tips on time management and productivity in a business. You are an enthusiastic astronomer, explain to me what a lunar crater is and how it is formed. These are just a few examples to illustrate how role-based prompts can be used in interacting with a language model. Prompts can be customized to suit various professions, specialties, or specific interests. As you can see, this category of roles is very similar to what we have already discussed, namely providing a context. In both cases, you establish the basic information from the beginning through a role or context, generating much more complex responses as a result. Among all the categories learned in this section, the role is the most commonly used by people around the world when they want to go into details. So, that being said, see you in the next lesson.